In the movie A Time to Kill, Matthew McConaughey plays Jake Brigance. In his summation, talking about Tanya Haley, he says, "I want to tell you a story. I'm going to ask you all to close your eyes while I tell you the story. I want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to yourselves. Go ahead. Close your eyes, please. This is a story about a little girl walking home from the grocery store one sunny afternoon. I want you to picture this little girl. Suddenly, a truck races up. Two men jump out and grab her. They drag her into a nearby field and they tie her up, and they rip her clothes from her body. Now they climb on. First one, then another, raping her, shattering everything innocent and pure with a vicious thrust and a fog of drunken breath and sweat. And when they're done, after they've killed her tiny womb, murdered any chance for her to have children, to have life beyond her own, they decide to use her for target practice. They start throwing full beer cans at her. They throw them so hard that it tears the flesh all the way to their bones. Then they urinate on her. Now comes the hanging. They have a rope. They tie a noose. Imagine the noose going tight around the girl's neck, and with a sudden, blinding jerk, she's pulled into the air, and her feet and legs go kicking. They don't find the ground. The hanging branch isn't strong enough. It snaps, and she falls back to the earth. So they pick her up, throw her in the back of the truck, and drive out to Foggy Creek Bridge, pitch her over the edge, and she drops some 30 feet down to the creek below. Can you see her? Her raped, beaten, broken body soaked in their urine, soaked in their semen, soaked in her blood, left to die. Can you see it? I want you to picture that little girl. Now, imagine she's white. Now, see, the point of this is in this movie by John Grisham, which, by the way, is a fantastic writer. You should check out his stuff. In the movie A Time to Kill, Matthew McConaughey, there's strong racial undertones. There's a lot of racial tension in this movie, in this book. The reason I'm telling you that is because what you have here in Chicago, a man was tortured, bound, gagged, kicked, hit, scalp cut, held at knife point, forced to drink toilet water. From 24 to 48 hours, he was kidnapped, a special needs man. Being told to say, fuck Trump, fuck white people. Now just imagine, this is a little black boy, a black special needs boy, and they're saying, fuck Obama, fuck black people. So for all you people out there who've been miseducated by people that say there's no such thing as racism except for white people, you have to have power, you have to have a historical context of power, and you know what, I'm sorry, that's garbage. And I think the people, even when you're sitting there listening to it from a professor, you gotta know it's garbage. There's only ugly, hate-filled racism, and it needs to stop. It all must be called out for what it is, which is garbage and unacceptable. I wrote an article about that in college. There's no such thing as reverse racism. There's only ugly, hate-filled racism. But this president, Barack Obama, he has jumped into it every single time. He could have been such a unifying force. He really could have been such a unifying force in this country. The Cambridge police acted stupidly. If I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. He did nothing to calm tensions. He worked people up into racial frenzy, riots in the streets, cops getting killed in Dallas for political power. Community organizer, rile them up. And it's garbage. So this BLM kidnapping, the hashtag, that's what it's going by. This is a textbook hate crime, and it needs to stop.